Good afternoon, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to bring you some live coverage because Vice President Kamala Harris is giving her first major policy speech today as a presidential candidate. She is, from what I've read, the New York Times says it's her first major policy speech. So she's going to talk about her economic plan from Raleigh, North Carolina, and we have live coverage of it. And I want to come on the air and do some coverage of this. We covered the Trump press conference yesterday, and today we are covering the Kamala Harris economic plan speech. So I appreciate you being with us. And she's supposed to speak in a few minutes. You can see we got the video already going. I believe they're playing music, though, so I can't play the sound while the music is playing. Hold on. Oh, no, there's no music right now. Hold on.
Mike D's Barbecue Smokehouse.
Somebody else is speaking here. Hold on a second. Oh, hang on. Let me hold off until they stop playing the music. Here's a previous speaker.
Don't say that. How's everybody doing? It's great to see all these people all these people who are here to hear me talk. So I appreciate that. That's all right. So my name is Mike De Los Santos, the owner of Mike D's Barbecue, a small community restaurant and barbecue shop in East Durham. I'm a husband, a proud father, and I'm here today to talk about what's at stake for our families and our communities in this upcoming election, and what is possible if we elect Vice President Kamala Harris. As parents, we're always thinking about the future, and we want a world where our children can thrive. Raising a family is hard work, and working hard is hard work. Doing both can feel impossible, and we need leaders that understand that, and that's why electing Kamala Harris is so important. Vice President Harris is standing up for families and fighting to lower costs, just like she has done her entire career. She sees what folks are going through, like the families in my community who are struggling to pay bills, stretching a budget to afford groceries, scrambling to afford medication to live. Access to affordable health care is personal to my family. In 2012, our son Aaron passed away after bravely battling hypoplastic left heart syndrome. That's why it means so much to me that the Vice President is working to make sure everyone can get access to the care they need. No matter what their income is. She's working to lower prescription drug costs, which make a huge difference for people across this country and North Carolina. At Mike D's, we're all about community. From our customers to the folks on staff who came in early today so I could be here, come by at 4 o'clock for dinner. But as housing costs rise, it's getting harder and harder for our community to thrive. And though I love what I do, it's hard to build a business and work hard in a city that sometimes you can't even afford to live in yourself, especially when you're working hard to make sure that your employees make a living wage. I've seen how important it is to have leaders who are fighting for people like us, and I've seen the damage that occurs when leaders put their own interests ahead of our families. Amid the grief of losing our child, we opened Mike D's in 2013 as a barbecue sauce company. During the pandemic, we had to pivot as things shut down, and we've expanded to the restaurant that we are in now. We saw the way that Trump left small business owners behind. We know that he'll only work to make the rich richer, even at our expense, if given another chance. On the other hand, Vice President Harris has made it a priority to help small business access the capital they need to get started and to grow. It's very important. I'm here today because we have a choice for ourselves and our children, for businesses and the communities we invest in. Vice President Harris will always fight for working families like mine. We can and will elect Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz. It is my honor to introduce the next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
All right, I just got to not play the music. So there's Kamala Harris. We're going to hear her speech right now, but I have to not play the music that's playing. So hang on a moment. I will turn the sound up as soon as she starts speaking, which will be in a couple moments. She is going to lay out her economic plan. Okay, here we go.
Hello, family and friends. Oh, it's good to be back in North Carolina. Oh, it's good to see everyone. Oh, it's good to see everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Please have a seat if you have a seat. Please have a seat. Mike D, so Mike D's Barbecue. Let me tell you, one of the biggest fans of Mike D's Barbecue. My husband dug him off. And thank you, Mike, for sharing your story. And I'm just so sorry for what your family has been through, but you have, out of an incredible tragedy, done so much for the community, and you are such a role model. So thank you, Mike, for everything you do. Thank you. And good afternoon to everyone here. Thank you to all of the incredible leaders with us today, including my friend, the Governor, Roy Cooper. Where is he? Here with his daughter. Every time I land in North Carolina, I'm just literally coming down the stairs of Air Force Two, I will shout to Roy Cooper, "What number is it, Roy?" And today he shouted 16, which is the number of times I've been in this beautiful state since I've been Vice President. Every time. I want to thank your next Governor, Attorney General Josh Stein. He's doing incredible work. He's going to be an extraordinary governor. Representatives Adam, Manning, Foushee, and Nickel, thank you all for your support, for your friendship, for your leadership. Chair Thomas of the Wake County Board of Commissioners, thank you for all that you do. And to all the leaders that are here today, including the students and instructors here at Wake Tech North. So thank you all. So listen, this election, I do strongly believe, is about two very different visions for our nation. One, ours, focused on the future, and the other, focused on the past. We see that contrast clearly in many ways, including when it comes to how we think about the economy. So our country has come a long way since President Biden and I took office. At that time, we sadly remember the millions of Americans that were out of work. We were facing one of the worst economic crises in modern history. And today, by virtually every measure, our economy is the strongest in the world. Created 16 million new jobs. We've made historic investments in infrastructure, in chips manufacturing, in clean energy. And new numbers this week alone show that inflation is down under 3%. And as President of the United States, it will be my intention to build on the foundation of this progress. Still, we know that many Americans don't yet feel that progress in their daily lives. Costs are still too high. And on a deeper level, for too many people, no matter how much they work, it feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. As President, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class that advance their economic security, stability, and dignity. Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy. An opportunity economy. An economy where everyone can compete and have a real chance to succeed. Everyone, regardless of who they are or where they start, has an opportunity to build wealth for themselves and their children. And where we remove the barriers to opportunity so anyone who wants to start a business or advance their career can access the tools and the resources that are necessary to do so. I will focus on cutting needless bureaucracy and unnecessary regulatory red tape and encouraging innovative technologies while protecting consumers and creating a stable business environment with consistent and transparent rules of the road. As President, I will bring together labor with small businesses and major companies to invest in America, to create good jobs, achieve broad-based growth, and ensure that America continues to define the future and lead the world. And key to creating this opportunity economy is building up our middle class. It is essential. The middle class is one of America's greatest strengths. And to protect it, then, we must defend basic principles, such as your salary should be enough to provide you and your family with a good quality of life. Such as no child should have to grow up in poverty. Such as after years of hard work, you should be able to retire with dignity. And you should be able to join a union if you choose. Building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency, because I strongly believe when the middle class is strong, America is strong. So in the weeks to come, I will address in greater detail my plans to build an opportunity economy. And today, I will focus on one element that's on the minds of many Americans as they pay their bills at the kitchen table or walk the aisles of a grocery store. And that is lowering the cost of living. So every day across our nation, families talk about their plans for the future, their ambitions, their aspirations for themselves, for their children. And they talk about how they're going to be able to actually achieve them financially. Because look, the bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication. After all that, for many families, there's not much left at the end of the month. I grew up in a middle-class household. For most of my childhood, we were renters. My mother saved for well over a decade to buy a home. I was a teenager when that day finally came, and I can remember so well how excited she was. I kind of understood what it meant, but we called her Mommy. Mommy was so excited, it just made us excited that she was so excited. Later in college, I worked at McDonald's to earn spending money. Well, some of the people I worked with were raising families on that paycheck. They worked second or even third jobs to pay rent and buy food. That only gets harder when the cost of living goes up. When I am elected president, I will make it a top priority to bring down costs and increase economic security for all Americans. As president, I will take on the high costs that matter most to most Americans, like the cost of food. We all know that prices went up during the pandemic when the supply chains shut down and failed. But our supply chains have now improved, and prices are still too high. A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%. Many of the big food companies are seeing their highest profits in 2 decades. And while many grocery chains pass along these savings, others still aren't. Look, I know most businesses are creating jobs, contributing to our economy, and playing by the rules. But some are not. And that's just not right. And we need to take action when that is the case. As Attorney General in California, I went after companies that illegally increased prices, including wholesalers that inflated the price of prescription medication, and companies that conspired with competitors to keep prices of electronics high. I won more than $1 billion for consumers. So believe me, as president, I will go after the bad actors. And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food. My plan will include new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules, and we will support smaller food businesses that are trying to play by the rules and get ahead. We will help the food industry become more competitive, because I believe competition is the lifeblood of our economy. More competition means lower prices for you and your families. Now compare what Donald Trump plans to do. He wants to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax on everyday products and basic necessities that we import from other countries. That will devastate Americans. It will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. A Trump tax on gas, a Trump tax on food, a Trump tax on clothing, a Trump tax on over-the-counter medication. And you know, economists have done the math. Donald Trump's plan would cost a typical family $3,900 a year. At this moment, when everyday prices are too high, he will make them even higher. As president, I'll take on the issue of the cost of health care. As Attorney General, I took on insurance companies and Big Pharma and got them to lower their prices. And together with President Biden, we've gone even further. We capped the price of insulin at $35 a month, and the total cost of prescription drugs at $2,000 a year for seniors. We let Medicare negotiate lower drug prices for seniors. And just yesterday, we announced that we are lowering the price by up to 80% for 10 more life-saving drugs. And I pledge to continue this progress. I'll lower the cost of insulin and prescription drugs for everyone with your support, not only our seniors. And demand transparency from the middlemen who operate between Big Pharma and the insurance companies who use opaque practices to raise your drug prices and profit off your need for medicine. 2 months ago, I announced that medical debt will no longer be used against your credit score. And I will work as president with states like here in North Carolina, Roy Cooper, thank you again, to cancel medical debt for more and more, millions more Americans. As for Donald Trump, well, he wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which 45 million Americans rely on. 45 million Americans rely on it for health care. That would take us back to a time when insurance companies could deny people with pre-existing conditions. We all remember what that was. We're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. And remember, and this is why we're not going back, because we do remember, he tried to cut Medicare every year he was president, threatening a program that tens of millions of seniors count on. And according to his Project 2025 agenda, he intends to undo our work to bring down prescription drugs, the cost of prescription drugs, and insulin costs. Well, we've come too far to let that happen. So we're not going back on that, and let's talk about the cost of housing. So now, the housing market can be complicated, but look, I'm not new to this issue. As State Attorney General, I drafted and helped pass a homeowner Bill of Rights, one of the first in America. And during the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big banks for predatory lending with many of my colleagues, including Roy Cooper, and won $20 billion for California families when I was Attorney General. So I know how to fight for people who are being exploited in the housing market. And I know what home ownership means. It's more than a financial transaction. It's so much more than that. It's more than a house. Home ownership and what that means, it's a symbol of the pride that comes with hard work. It's financial security. It represents what you will be able to do for your children. And sadly, right now, it is out of reach for far too many American families. There's a serious housing shortage. In many places, it's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. As president, I will work in partnership with industry to build the housing we need, both to rent and to buy. We will take down barriers and cut red tape, including at the state and local levels. And by the end of my first term, we will end America's housing shortage by building 3 million new homes and rentals that are affordable for the middle class. And we will do that together. We will do that together. And we will make sure those homes actually go to working and middle class Americans, not just investors. Because, you know, some corporate landlords, some of them, buy dozens, if not hundreds of houses and apartments. Then they turn them around and rent them out at extremely high prices. And it can make it impossible then for regular people to be able to buy or even rent a home. Some corporate landlords collude with each other to set artificially high rental prices, often using algorithms in price-fixing software to do it. It's anti-competitive and it drives up costs. I will fight for a law that cracks down on these practices. We also know that as the price of housing has gone up, the size of down payments have gone up as well. Even if aspiring homeowners save for years, it often still is not enough. So in addition, while we work on the housing shortage, my administration will provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 to help with the down payment on a new home. We can do this. We can do this. All to help more Americans experience the pride of home ownership and the financial security that it represents and brings. So that's my plan. But here's what Donald Trump would do. If his Project 2025 agenda is put into effect, it will add around $1,200 a year to the typical American mortgage. He's got it backward. We should be doing everything we can to make it more affordable to buy a home, not less. Finally, there's one more way I will help families deal with rising costs, and that's by letting you keep more of your hard-earned money. Under my plan, more than 100 million Americans will get a tax cut, and we will do this by restoring 2 tax cuts designed to help middle-class and working Americans: the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. Through which millions of Americans with children got to keep more of their hard-earned income. We know this works and has a direct impact on so many issues, including child poverty. We know it works. So as president, I'll not only restore that tax cut, but expand it. We will provide $6,000 in tax relief to families during the first year of a child's life. Now think what that means. Think what that means. That is a vital, vital year of critical development of a child. And the cost can really add up, especially for young parents who need to buy diapers and clothes and a car seat and so much else. And we will do this while reducing the deficit. Compare my plan with what Donald Trump intends to do. He plans to give billionaires massive tax cuts year after year. And he plans to cut corporate taxes by over $1 trillion, even as they pull in record profits. And that's on top of the $2 trillion tax cut he already signed into law when he was president, which, by the way, overwhelmingly went to the wealthiest Americans and corporations and exploded the national deficit. You know, I think that if you want to know who someone cares about, look who they fight for. Look who they fight for. Donald Trump fights for billionaires and large corporations. I will fight to give money back to working and middle-class Americans. So I'll end with this. 2 days ago, Donald Trump was here in North Carolina. He said he was going to talk about the economy. I think you all watched. You know what I'm about to say. But he offered no serious plans to reduce costs for middle-class families. No plan to expand access to housing or health care. And that, actually, I think for most of us, was not surprising. Because we already know his plans. We know the Project 2025 agenda. So there's a choice in this election. Donald Trump's plans to devastate the middle class, punish working people, and make the cost of living go up for millions of Americans. And on the other hand, when I'm elected president, what we will do to bring down costs, increase the security and stability financially of your family, and expand opportunity for working and middle class Americans. So now is the time to chart a new way forward. Now is the time to chart a new way forward, to build to build an America where everyone's work is rewarded and talents are valued, where we work with labor and business to strengthen the American economy, and where everyone has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. So I thank you, North Carolina. We're going to get this done. And with your help, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. God bless you.
Okay, that was Vice President Kamala Harris. That was her first major policy speech, and she talked about the economy, and we will watch as she greets some of the people at the event in Raleigh, North Carolina. This wasn't like about her entire economic policy. What she really focused on today was, she said, how to lower prices in various sectors of the economy, including housing and food, and what else did she talk about? Health care. So we're going to take some comments from you guys, but we covered Trump's news conference yesterday and thought we would cover today Vice President Harris's first major policy speech. I wonder if, let me just see if how's the sound? Do we have music, or can I play the sound? Let's see. I can't play the music. So some of the things she talked about were, one thing that she mentioned was wanting to give people, first-time home buyers, $25,000 for a down payment on their first home. That's one thing she talked about. Now, by the way, for various policy plans, there will be various policy plans she has that I would guess I'm not an expert on how economic plans get implemented. But I would think for at least some of her policy plans, you would need Congress to pass a law. As president, you can't just do whatever you want. For a lot of things, you need Congress to pass a law if you want to input some kind of significant economic policy. But candidates do when they run for president talk about what they would like to do. But just to be clear, there's a lot you cannot do if you don't have Congress going along with you. So it's not like a president can just go in there and change the country's entire economic plan on day one. But I want to take some comments from you guys. And something I also want to mention is with various economic plans, I think it's helpful to, and I'm not an economist, but there's all kinds of, if you propose something, there will be various economists will do like studies on it, and they'll try to figure out, well, how will that work? Will it help people? Will it not help people? What will the ramifications be? So these things can be really complex. I would caution you from making judgments about the benefits and the costs of various economic proposals off the top of your head. That can be complex stuff. Sometimes the result of an economic proposal can be not what you think it might be. Sometimes you might do something to bring prices down, and it causes prices to go up. I'm just saying. So just this stuff can I just be cautious about drawing quick conclusions about economic proposals, not just for her, but from any candidate. Okay. Let's see. Armando says, why isn't she doing a press conference? If she does a press conference, I will certainly cover it. I'll tell you that. And so, and by the way, the first debate is supposed to be September 10th, I think, is the first debate. That's when she will debate former President Trump. Oh, and I am planning on covering next week the Democratic convention, just as we covered the Republican convention. Let's see here. Now, hold on a second here. Hang on one moment here. One of our viewers mentioned the tariff. So there was this point at which she said that Trump wants to impose a sales tax on goods coming into the country. So she didn't say it. I don't know. I thought it might have been more clear if she had. I think she was talking about when Trump wants to impose a tariff on goods coming into the country. And so what she's arguing is that would cause the price of goods to go up. But she basically said that he wanted to impose some sort of, in effect, sales tax. But I don't think she said the word tariff. So that might have been I thought that could have been a little more clear when she said that. Let's see here. Give me a shout at Lookner, and I'll take a few comments from you guys. And she did say that she wants an opportunity economy where giving all kinds of economic opportunity, for example, the opportunity to start a business to all kinds of people in all kinds of circumstances. But what she said is that she will be laying out more of her economic plans in coming weeks or months. So today, really, the focus was the lowering prices one. Which, I mean, I will say that if her first economic major policy speech is on how to lower prices, certainly that suggests that the Harris campaign thinks higher prices is a concern of, and inflation is a big concern of voters, if she's focusing on it. Let's see here. Thank you, Fiery Patriot, for your support. Fiery Patriot wish she had taken questions. Thank you, Kay Rando, for your support. Kay Rando says, I liked it. No name calling, wasn't angry. By the way, thanks also to Tad Davis and the Lucky Minute and Kelly Smith for your support. Yeah, I don't know if she's going to do a press conference anytime soon. That I don't know. If she does, I will certainly cover it, believe me. Did she talk about monkeypox, says Stephen Flippin. No, she did not talk about monkeypox. Unless I missed it, I did not hear her talk about monkeypox. Yashem Halem did not like that she brought up price gouging. Yashem said, blaming price gouging for rapid inflation is the goofiest thing I've ever heard. Well, she did. I mean, she talked about it in specific contexts. I think she mentioned it in the context of food and also maybe in the context of rent in certain circumstances. I believe. Lonnie Schultz thinks she can't do most of what she said. Lonnie seems to think that she would have to have congressional approval to do most of what she said. Harold Clark thinks she will win the debates. Well, we'll have to see what happens. I don't know yet if I'll have footage. We'll do coverage for the debate or debates, but it's not up to me. I have to find out if I'll get footage. It's up to who's ever showing the debate whether they allow other outlets to show the debate. So I certainly hope the presidential and vice presidential debates I can show you the footage, but I'll have to just see how that works out. Let's see here. Our viewer, Lou says, this will all be settled at the debates. Hopefully it will be fair to both candidates. May the best person win. April Taj says, I can't wait for the debate between her and Trump. AC said she did not mention no tax on tips. I don't think she mentioned that today. Digital Black says, love the joyful vibes. The hang on one second here. Both Trump and Vice President Harris say they want to eliminate federal taxes on tips. By the way, I'm looking at an Associated Press article that says, experts say there's a reason Congress hasn't made such a change already. It would be complicated, not to mention enormously costly, to the federal government to enact. It would encourage many higher paid workers to restructure their compensation to classify some of it as tips and thereby avoid taxes. And in the end, it likely wouldn't help millions of low-income workers. James Hines Jr., a professor at the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business, says, there's no way it wouldn't be a mess. Trump originally announced his proposal to have no taxes on tips on June 9th. Harris announced hers after Trump on August 10th. Details have been sparse, says the AP. Neither candidate's team has said whether it would exempt tips only from income taxes, only from payroll taxes, or both. The payroll tax funds Social Security and Medicare. Something else about the no taxes on tips is obviously, if you are going to tax a certain group of people less than you have been, that means there's less money coming in. So in theory, to make up that, you have to get the money from somewhere else. That's a whole other question. Anyways. So some interesting questions surrounding that whole proposal. By the way, thank you. As we watch Vice President Harris make her way out, if you missed the speech, you can rewind the broadcast. But yes, that I don't believe, as AC says, I don't believe she mentioned that today. I may be wrong. I heard most of what she said, but sometimes I have to deal with stuff like, because I'm actually doing the broadcast here, but I don't think she mentioned that today. It's an interesting point, given that she was talking about lowering costs, lowering for people. All right, let me take some more comments here. 1010 thinks no tax on tips will never fly. AP also says that she proposed, just to summarize some of the things she said, she proposed a federal ban on price gouging for groceries. I don't know really about that topic. I don't know how big an issue it is. I don't know what the likelihood is of her getting a federal ban passed would be. I don't know how easy or difficult it would be to implement. So, but that aside, I just want to mention that she said that. She also is proposing $25,000 in down payment help for certain first-time home buyers. Okay, she's leaving now. And tax incentives for builders of starter homes. She said she wanted to have, she said she wants to build a lot more housing to ease the housing crisis, and also have new housing that is affordable for middle-class people. She said that, including rentals. AP also says she's calling for tax breaks aimed at families as well as middle and lower income people. She would expand the child tax credit to up to $3,600 and $6,000 for children in their first year of life. Harris would expand the earned income tax credit to cover people in lower income jobs without children, which the campaign estimates would cut their effective tax rate by $1,500. She also wants to lower health insurance premiums through the Affordable Care Act. And something that AP says is they say, overall, her plan represents a continuation of many Biden administration priorities, but with a pronounced shift in emphasis from job creation and infrastructure and to matters more closely tied to easing the cost of living, like food prices, housing, and tax breaks for families. Many initiatives, as I was just saying, we were just talking about this, AP says many initiatives would require congressional approval, which is far from assured in the current political environment, and there were scant details on how to pay for the ideas. I want to mention this again real quick for you, because I think it's important. Oops. So I'm looking at this article about her speech today. Harris aims to blunt Trump's economic attacks by proposing new tax breaks in a bid to lower costs. So just look right down here, see? Many initiatives would require congressional approval, which is far from assured in the current political environment, and there were scant details on how to pay for the ideas. Some of Trump's economic advisors offered rebuttals, with Brian Hughes, a spokesperson for Trump's campaign, calling the vice president's plans representative of the most socialist and authoritarian model. Okay, let me take some more comments from you guys. We may have coverage later today on other topics, by the way. Barbie's rule says, why not do it now? Maybe she's hoping for a Democratic House as well, which she does not have right now. Jason Santoro doesn't like her voice. Our viewer, Jason Santoro, says her voice cracks my ears. I'm sorry about that, Jason. Snowden says, you get a tiny house, you get a tiny house. Corey Bedard, our viewer, says, I'm sure they will have more details during the Democratic convention, as well as keeping ideas close for the debate. She is certainly not the only political candidate who might propose ideas and then not go into them in detail. Crash Cummings says a chart of gold and silver prices would be good. Watch what happens. During the speech, you're saying? Well, just to be clear, the basic ideas she put out during the speech were already public. Like there was a number of articles, for example, talking about what she was going to say. I think she might have posted about it some on her social media too. So I'm not aware that any kind of like huge of any kind of huge big surprises that came out during the speech. I'm looking at the price of gold right now. It doesn't seem like any like major moves happened during the speech. Let me see something here. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Let's see. By the way, AP has an article. Harris has offered a string of new economic proposals. Here's a closer look at what's in them. Okay, this is a little short summary here. Food prices. After years of polling showing that Americans are worried about inflation, Harris is aiming to contain prices where they have often been most conspicuously felt at the grocery store. She's promising during her first 100 days in office to send Congress, that means you would have to have Congress pass them, to send Congress proposed federal limits on price increases for food producers and grocers. Harris also is seeking new authority for the Federal Trade Commission and attorneys general in states across the country to enact steeper punishments for violators. She also wants to use government regulators to crack down on mergers and acquisitions among large food industry businesses that the vice president argues have contributed to higher prices. I don't know enough details about any of these things to intelligently comment on them. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, quick thanks to Lucia Horizo, our viewer, who thinks her day one was 3.5 years ago and nobody is better off. Ask Venezuela how price controls worked out for them. That's from Lucia Horizo. Thanks, Lucia, for your support. Hey, thanks also to Janet Burnett and also Justin Townsley for your support. And thanks, Justin, for shouting out our moderators. Let me thank our moderators, too. Whenever we do the political stuff here, the chat can get kind of, let me just say, I guess I'll use the word passionate. There are other words I could use for the chat during our political coverage, but I'll just say passionate right now. But I really appreciate our moderators who are there to keep things under control. Man, I had to time out somebody today and give them a warning because they said something really, really bad. It was really terrible. So I told them if they do something like that again, they're out for good. They got the 24-hour timeout. But Sarah55 and Ruth Krafasi are there on YouTube. I really, really appreciate it. All of our YouTube moderators are awesome. Linda Belk and Larry moderate for us on X. Over there on Twitch right now, we have, let's see. Big Ball of Yarn, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Papa Bear, and Surly Dev. Oh, and thanks on Twitch, by the way, speaking of Twitch, before I get to the Facebook mods, thanks so much, Blasty McNasty, for subscribing on Twitch. Thanks Device X for subscribing on Twitch. I really appreciate it. And thanks also to our Facebook moderators. We have moderating right now. We have Kay Larry Bonnie is over there. Thanks, Kay, for moderating on our Facebook chat. And any others I'm missing. Oh, and actually, thank you, Zachally. Zachally says, for your support, Zachally says, could any candidate find Israel on a map? I think they both could find Israel on a map, Zachally. I think they could. Thanks to Janet Burnett for your support as well. All right, let me see here. You can write to me on X at Lookner. PsyOp says we tried price controls in the 70s, didn't work out. So one thing I'll say, and it's kind of repeating something I said earlier, is that with basically any significant economic policy, there's the idea of what you want it to do, and then what it actually does. And sometimes economic policies they can have unintended consequences. So, you think it'll do something good, but it might end up doing something bad. For in the debate over minimum wage, people who are against a minimum wage say, the idea of it is to help people make more money, but sometimes in that debate you hear people say, well, if you raise the minimum wage, then what's going to happen is, for example, in fast food restaurants, it'll move them quicker to automation, and they'll have people ordering on, instead of having people taking orders, they'll just automate everything. I'm not telling you what to think about this. My point is there's the proposal, what you're trying to do, and what you hope the goal is going to be, and what the actual goal is going to be. So with any of these kind of economic proposals, I would not feel comfortable at all telling you, here's what I think, it's good or bad. I would want to read up on it, and I'm sure you can find. I'm sure with various significant economic proposals, you can find people who. Economists who study this stuff all their lives. You can probably find some economists who say, "Oh, it's going to be good," and some who say it's going to be bad, and some who say it's going to be mixed, and some who might. I'm sure some of it is like how you do it, what the actual details are, how it's implemented. But this can be really complex stuff. It can be unclear what's going to happen. So just keep that in mind. I think it can be easy to simplify these things, and it's just it can be a very complex question, and sometimes you can't predict it perfectly what's going to happen if you change the economy in some kind of significant way. Let's see. By the way, thanks to our viewer Chublea for your support. She says she can't cap housing costs. As a homeowner, I will always sell to the highest bidder. So. There's these kind of issues where if you try to keep, say, rental costs low, well, that could help renters, but it could hurt property owners. That's a whole other thing about economic proposals. You can have cases where some people get help and some people get hurt. Also, if you say no taxes on tips and servers pay less, are other people going to have to pay more taxes to make up for that? It's difficult stuff. But it's important, obviously. It's very important. Hey, really quick, I'm going to read this from this Associated Press article. Just real quick. It's just a short little article. Harris has offered a string of new economic proposals. Here's a closer look at what's in them. So, again, today she was really focused on talking about bringing prices down. Housing. Harris is calling for the construction of 3 million new housing units over 4 years, which she says will ease a serious housing shortage in America. By the way, she did say she wants to lower regulatory barriers to building more housing, I believe. She also plans to promote legislation creating a new series of tax incentives for builders who construct starter homes sold to first-time home buyers. She also wants a $40 billion innovation fund, doubling a similar pot of money created by the Biden administration for businesses building affordable rental housing units. She also wants to speed up permitting and review process to get housing stock to the market more quickly. By the way, I also have no idea with housing how much of it has to do with federal regulation and how much of it has to do with state and local regulation. Possibly the federal government can try, I don't know, but I would think there's a chance that no matter what you do as the federal government, you also have to, a big burden might be in terms of regulations, state and local regulations. I don't know for sure, but just another thing I'm pointing out. Harris further says she can lower rental costs by limiting investors who buy up homes in bulk, as well as curbing the use of price-setting tools that she argues encourage collusion to increase profits among landlords. She also wants to expand a Biden administration plan providing $25,000 in potential down payment assistance to help some renters buy a home, so that it will include a much larger swath of first-time home buyers across the country. Will that raise housing prices if people are getting subsidized to buy housing? I don't know. If it's only some of the people getting subsidized, that I can't tell you. The vice president also has endorsed repurposing some federal land to make room for new affordable housing, an idea that Biden endorsed while still running for president and that Trump has also spoken about favorably. So regardless of the specific proposals, the emphasis, her initial emphasis and what her speech was on today was in lowering prices. The antique action figure says inflationary. E.R. Garner says, so how is this going to be paid for? Let's see here. Prosperous Porcupine says they need to give $200,000 to every first-time home buyer, especially for the renters. Mach 11 says, will the government become a landlord and build government housing to address housing shortages? By the way, I think all these, in a world in which there was two of me, I would spend much more time, I would spend a lot of that extra time reading about these various economic issues. I think they're really issuing, it can be really interesting if you take one of these issues and you really get into the details about it. Again, these are complex things. And I'm sure for each of these proposals, there's all kinds of studies and research talking about, you know, what they do and or what it's thought they might do, and probably pro and con articles about them. So I wish I had more time to read up on them. But if certain ones become more prominent, I certainly will read up more on them. Hey, thanks so much to Chandra, our moderator. I hope Chandra is feeling better. That's really kind of you, Chandra. Thanks for your support. She says, I continue to appreciate an agenda-free space to share ideas. Thank you. And I appreciate people sharing their ideas. But please be civil and respectful of others when you're here. We ask you that. Thanks so much to Freedom Canned from Canada and G. Scott Deary for your support, and Sherry S., our member. Let's see here. Paula Thompson says, I'm just glad some in charge understand there is a problem. Another way to look at a speech like this, and a speech that Trump would give too, is there's the specific proposals, but then there's also what is the overall emphasis. So, you know, maybe none of these proposals get passed, but you might look at it and say, well, I think Vice President Harris might emphasize trying to control prices if she's president. It's the same with Trump. He might give a speech about something and talk about some specific proposals, and maybe you think, oh, I don't know if he's going to be able to get those specific proposals through, but this speech is telling me, you know, a kind of a general direction he might go in or wants to go in. All right, I just want to read this last little section here. Taxes and medical costs. Harris wants to speed up a Biden administration effort that has allowed Medicare and other federal programs to negotiate with drug makers to lower the cost of prescription medications, aiming to cut the price tags of some of the most expensive and most commonly used drugs by roughly 40 to 80% starting in 2026. She's also promised to promote competition with steps to increase transparency within pharmaceutical company pricing practices. She also pledged to work with state entities to cancel $7 billion of medical debt for up to 3 million qualifying Americans. So this is I remember when she talked about this, where I believe the idea of this would be something like medical bills are excessive, people get sick through no fault of their own, and then they have these huge bills and it destroys their life, so we should cancel some medical debt. So I understand if that's the idea of where that's coming from. On the other hand, then you might wonder, well, if those bills aren't going to be paid, is someone else going to have to pay for it? Are prices going to have to rise somewhere else in the medical system to make up for that income that's not coming in? I don't know. This is just one of these things where there's the proposal, but there can be a lot of complexity when you get into the details. The vice president also proposed to make permanent a $3,600 per child tax credit approved through 2025 for eligible families, while offering a new $6,000 tax credit for those with newborn children. She says a Harris administration would work to expand the earned income tax credit to cut taxes for some frontline workers by up to $1,500 and reduce taxes on health care plans offered on the marketplace created by the Affordable Care Act. All right, anyways. No, Walz was not there today. Cheryl Simpson says, I agree with her. Cancer expenses are not cheap. Let's see here. Melissa Terry says, middle-class people always suffer the most. They work the hardest. They pay the most taxes. They never get any good deals. That's what it looks like to me anyways. That's what Melissa Terry says. Thank you, Melissa, for your comment. Kerry Poteet says, I have a steroidal inhaler, the only medication I take that costs me $900 a month with insurance. It's absolutely ridiculous. Sarah 55 says, in Canada, we have higher taxes to enjoy free basic health care. Hidden in the Wires says, we're going back to 9% inflation. 586 Smoker thinks Trump will cut taxes. That's for sure. Only the very rich will get it, not us. Sean Connor says he thinks canceling medical debt is like paying off student loans, stealing from the other taxpayers to buy votes from a few. All right, hang on a moment here. So again, we may have some other coverage a little later today, depending on what other news there is, and I'm sure we'll be covering more of the Israel-Iran situation soon, and also, and we might do a stream on it tonight. That's possible, and also the situation in Ukraine. But I wanted to do a little coverage of this as well. And then next week, the Democratic Convention starts on. Is there a schedule for the Democratic Convention yet? The Democratic Convention starts on Monday. Man, it's in 3 days. We're going to cover it. Is there a schedule for it yet? Schedule. I'm looking at the website. Okay, guys, look. Let's look at the DNC schedule. Here it is. So, where is like the session? Oh, main programming. 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I'm assuming. See, the Republican convention had had 4 nights and a Monday afternoon, but I don't know if there's a. It looks to me, eyeballing it, that maybe the first big thing is Monday from 5:30 to 10. Yes, that's what it looks like to me. So unless I'm wrong, we would first start covering it Monday night, and then Tuesday. Yeah, it looks like it's 4 nights, because I'm looking at the day stuff, and I'm not. I was looking to see, do they have any kind of regular? Is this a convention meet during the day? It looks like the big convention meeting stuff is all at night. So that would be what we would be covering. Now, if there's huge news besides that, then we'll have to see what happens. But I'm not going to deal with that until I have to. Hey, thanks, Yak Diesel, for your support. I really appreciate that, Yak Diesel. All right, so that's next week. Oh, and also there might be protests. There might be protests. I saw an interesting report today about the Democratic Convention and possible protests. Let's see if I can find this here. So Benji Sarlin, who is with Semaphore, Semaphore had an article written by David Weigel about the headline is called "Here Come the Democratic National Convention Protests," and you can Google that if you'd like. Here come the Democratic National Convention protests, and it's by Semaphore, Semafor. And Semaphore is reporting that between 30 to 40,000 people will march on Monday on the Democratic Convention. Okay, so it has been planned for months, and I guess it's going to be somewhere. It's not going to be right at the convention. It'll be somewhere outside the convention. But there's going to be a march on Monday with between 30 and 40,000 people. Jaybird says, sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. Let me see if I can find... I think I found it. March on the DNC 2024. Is this it? Is this the website? It may be. Yes, 12 p.m. Monday, August 19th. I think this is it. I'm assuming, because when I Googled it, this is like one of the top choices. We are a coalition of organizations bringing our demands to the Democratic National Convention in Chicago in 2024. They are against Joe Biden and Democratic policy, supporting what they call the Israeli genocide against Gaza. The March on the DNC coalition fights for the rights and liberation of oppressed people and against the exploitation of workers. We will march on the DNC in Chicago to bring the people's agenda to within sight and sound of the Democratic Party leadership. They claim that the Democratic Party is a tool of billionaires and corporations. They say their actions, such as financing genocide in Palestine and war in multiple countries, continuing the mass incarceration of black and brown people, deporting millions of immigrants, and neglecting campaign promises made to the oppressed communities who represent their voting base, show that the Democratic Party only serves the agenda of the rich and powerful. Anyways, they are going to be marching, and I assume I'll have some video of this that I can show you, maybe from Reuters or AFP, but they're supposed to march at noon on Monday and 5 p.m. Thursday. So if that's the same one as Semaphore talked about, Semaphore said 30 to 40,000 people are expected to be marching. So I'll keep an eye out for that. Lonnie says I can send you some video. If anybody's there shooting live and they want to share their video, let me know. But be safe. Hopefully things don't get violent or anything. Okay. I'm going to take a few more comments here from you guys. Harper Ann says Harris was already interrupted a couple times by protesters. Now, it didn't happen today, but it's happened at some of her events. Yashem Halam says, is that going to be the largest anti-Israel rally in history? It's going to be a riot. Well, hopefully things stay under control. Lynette C. says Chicago law enforcement will be prepared for them. Oh, look, I have an article about it. I know this is related. We were covering Kamala Harris's speech, so the talk about the Democratic convention is related to this. Look at this. This is from Reuters. Pro-Palestinian activists plan to march on the DNC, hoping Harris will hear them. By the way, in case you missed it, I know a bunch of you knew that I already had made a deal recently to show you Associated Press articles and photos, which is super cool. I pay for these things, but I can show it to you. Yesterday, I announced that I have completed a second deal so that I can pay Reuters to show. I already pay them for live video, but we also have a new deal with Reuters where I can show you articles and photos and sometimes video clips from Reuters as well, which I'm really excited about. Pro-Palestinian activists plan to march on the DNC, hoping Harris will hear them. So the article says, when Vice President Harris flies to Chicago next week to accept her party's nomination for the presidency, she will be met head-on with voters protesting one of her thorniest electoral issues, the Biden administration's aid to Israel. A coalition of some 200 social justice organizations is going forward with their plan to march at the Democratic National Convention on Monday, despite a late decision by Joe Biden, the main focus of it's ire, isn't it? Ire, to step down from the top of the ticket. Hold on a second here. The pro-Palestinian activists resent Biden's administration for funding Israel during its war against Hamas. Okay. Say anything else specific about the protests in here? Let me see. Harris has surged in opinion polls since Biden withdrew from the race, but some activists, they say they hold her responsible to varying extents for the administration's Israel policy, and the protest next week will add pressure on her to unite a discontented voter base before Election Day. Protesters flocking, it says. Organizers have said the DNC march will be family-friendly. Still, some onlookers worry that the combination of heavy police presence, throngs of protesters, and potentially ill-intentioned agitators could combust as it did on college campuses in the spring. Look at this. This person who made this comment here? This is Hatem Abdullah, a spokesperson for the March on DNC Coalition. So basically a spokesperson for the march said the crowds are expected to peak in the tens of thousands on Monday and Thursday, coinciding respectively with the days Biden and Harris will speak. And most people would be coming from Palestinian and Arab communities in Illinois and neighboring states. The coalition includes groups advocating for a range of causes, including reproductive rights and racial justice. Organizers have fought with city officials for months to get a permit for the rally in their desired route. After winning access to a rally site close to the United Center, where the DNC will be hosted, the coalition lost a bid this week for a longer march route, and the city barred them from using stages, portable toilets, tents, or sound equipment. Okay, well, I would not be surprised. I know that the DNC starts Monday night. We very well might be doing coverage of the DNC protest starting Monday, I don't know, around noon time or something. Given what I'm hearing about this, it seems like it's going to be a big deal. So we might have to do, if I have access to it, to footage, which I'm hoping to, of the protests, we very well might be doing coverage of that. Hold on a second here. Let me look up something here. Just looking at the Reuters schedule and seeing if they have anything listed about it. I'll have to see. This would be Monday the 19th. Where is it here? Why can't I find it? Anyways, I know they're let's see, Democrat, this detail. All right. Well, we'll see how that goes, but I would not be surprised if we end up covering protests during the day on Monday. So keep an eye out for that. By the way, if you want to know when we're going live, subscribe and follow the channel. We cover all kinds of live breaking news, agenda-free TV, and we have a free notifications system where you sign up once for free, and then you get sent a notification right before we go live every single time, and it works awesome. It's really reliable, and we do it through Discord. So if you want to sign up for the free notifications, the mods will post a notification link in the chat right now, and you can also find it in the description of this broadcast on Facebook and YouTube. But sign up for the notifications. Oh, thank you, Crazy Yoda, for your support. Crazy Yoda says debate is healthy. She says, Crazy Yoda says Trump supporter, but debate is healthy. Thank you, Crazy Yoda. I appreciate that. Let me read a few more comments here. And then, I don't know, we could have big news from the Middle East going on next week, too. Supergram says family in Illinois, some Chicago news sources are estimating 100,000 protesters. Oh, Maverick sent me this. Thanks, Maverick. Caitlin Collins posted this a few minutes ago. Check this out. After an emergency landing in Milwaukee, a Vance spokesperson says his pilot advised there was a malfunction with the door seal. After declaring an emergency, Trump Force 2 returned to Milwaukee. As soon as the issue was resolved, the plane returned to its originally planned flight path back to Cincinnati. This is the second issue with a Trump plane in like a couple weeks, because a week or two ago, Trump was flying to Montana, and there was a problem with the plane. I think it was reported the hydraulic system, but don't hold me to that. But there was a problem with the plane Trump was on, and he had to land at a different airport in Montana. And then I think he took a private plane, at least that was reported, to his rally. So, again, for all I can't speak. For all I know, I don't know the normal level of this kind of issue on planes. So I cannot say that his planes are having more problems than planes in general. But I'm just pointing out that it is the second time there's been a problem with a Trump plane in a couple weeks. But that is interesting. Thanks to the viewer for messaging about that. All right, hold on a second here. Val writes in and says that the proposals Harris made are the same promises we got last election in Australia. She says it's a globalist script. That's what she thinks it's like. Thank you, Val, for writing in. Hang on a second here. Hillwalker 1978 says, all planes have problems. Mine is in the shop now. Jim Schofield says they're probably pushing the planes too hard. Those are old planes. I cannot speak to the issues with the Trump planes. I don't know about them in detail, and I don't know about the planes in detail. Let's see. Our viewer Akakalio says price caps are being suggested by both campaigns. It's a dumb policy and won't happen, says Akakalio. Okay. Guys, we covered the Harris speech. We talked about the Harris economic speech. If you didn't see it, you can rewind this broadcast and watch it. We talked about it after. We took some of your comments. We talked about the upcoming Democratic National Convention, which I'm going to be covering next week, and possible big protests. And we talked about some other things. But I think it's time to wrap up this live stream. We may have coverage later today on one of the other stories going on right now. Obviously, if anything new and big happens, we'll come on the air and cover it. But for now, I really appreciate you joining our coverage of this speech. And subscribe, follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. Also, you can follow me on X while I'm off the air. I will post news updates on my X account. At Lookner on X is where to follow me for breaking news when we are not live. I will post a link to that in the chat right now. But I really appreciate you guys being here, and also thanks for all the comments and messages and news tips from you. And a huge thanks to our moderators. They're the ones who make the chat, who allow us to have chats. We couldn't have them without our moderators, especially with this political coverage. Oh my gosh. But Jessica S., Ruth Krafasi, Sarah55 over there on YouTube, thank you so much for moderating. Linda Belk and Larry on X, thank you. Over there on Twitch, Big Ball of Yarn, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Papa Bear, and Surly Dev. Thanks to you. K. Larry Body, Ronald, who else? Just so I don't miss everybody, K. Larry Body is there on Facebook. Also, we have other moderators there like Christina Neal, Ronald Egnor, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson. Thank you to all of our moderators. And what was I going to mention? Yep, so we very well might have more coverage later today. I'm sure we'll have more coverage soon. And thanks so much to everybody who donated. That is so nice of you. I really appreciate your support for the channel. You are the ones who allow this channel to exist and allow it to buy footage and buy articles and all that stuff. So I really appreciate it. If you ever want to donate to the channel, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. And what else? I mentioned we have a free notifications system. You can sign up to get notified whenever we go live. The mods will post the link to that in the chat. But at the same link, you can also check out our free Discord chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. A lot of our viewers like doing that. So check out the Discord chat. And thanks to our Discord mods as well. And let's see here. I also want to mention, one moment here. I also want to mention, if you watch on YouTube, I would also recommend turning on the YouTube notifications. It's another way to find out when we're going live. But if you watch on YouTube and you subscribe on YouTube, you got to do this to turn on the notifications. You got to click this bell thing here and then choose all notifications. Make sure you do that if you subscribe on YouTube. Some people said rocket alert. Hey, so I will keep an eye on that situation. Rocket alerts and drone alerts happen pretty much every day in Israel. And so just because there's a rocket alert or drone alert does not mean a big attack is happening. But I will certainly look into it once I get off the air. And if there's something huge happening, we can come on and do another live stream. Quick reminder, I do have a personal channel on YouTube and Twitch. It's called Lookner on YouTube and Look Nerd with a D on Twitch, where I do some non-news live streaming. So you can check that out if you'd like. And I want to thank our Facebook subscribers for your support, like Leanne Ticknor, Robert Rial II, and Ronald Egnor, and Kay Larry Body, and Diane Allworth, and Lou Green, and Eve Richards, and Billy Joe Drage, and all of our other Facebook subscribers. Marie Minicello, thank you for subscribing over there. All of our subscribers on Facebook, thank you. Bruce Hodge, thank you, Bruce, for subscribing as well. And any I might be missing from today. And also thanks to our Twitch subscribers like Hot Rodyssey, Wall Street, Shaggy, I Got That Fire, Cerebral Drip, Integrity Farmer Bob. Thanks for subscribing on Twitch. Blasty McNasty, thank you. Also Device X, E is for Evil. Uller Uprising, Distant Galaxy 13, Holistic, Who Shot JR, Gina Pina, thank you so much for being Twitch subscribers and supporting the channel over there. So nice of you. And all of our other Twitch subscribers, thanks for subscribing as well. And Raleigh too, and our YouTube members. Oh, and thanks, Krista Barisi just gave 5 people memberships over there on YouTube. Thank you, Krista. And be sure to thank somebody if they give you a membership. Thanks, Krista. That's really nice of you. And thanks to all of our YouTube members, like Jason, our new members, Jason Hooper, Mufti Teg, Nuclear 23, Lieutenant Head, and Pastor Jeff, who all got gift memberships. Waltham, James H., Marissa Pugliese, Beth Chakama, Jeremy Dorsey, Hassel DeHoff, Harper Ann, UV Lightning, Civlap, J.K. Sinar, Barry Fatikos, Z Saint C Jaybird, C Chase, Samurai Conscious, John Herzog, thanks for being members. Al Forha, and also David Bolger and J.K. Sinar, Mr. Dead, Albertus, Lucky Slots with Lacey, Mr. Hammond, French Toaster, Jaybird. I might be repeating some of these, sorry if I do. The one and only Inked Patriot, Kelly McAlien, Danny G, Rune, thanks for being members, Darky7, J.K. Sinar, I think I said that already, Jagged Glass, Amanda Mosher, Ronald Kane, Sky B, our new member. Thank you, Sky, for being a member. And who else? Brolos5 and all of our other members and our other viewers as well, like Warco, James H, our member, and everybody else watching out there. Thank you for being part of the stream. All right, it's time to wrap up this stream. Thanks, Thomas Hall, for watching as well. Okay. And all right, so I am going to, so when I wear my glasses on somebody just noticed this, when I usually don't wear my glasses on the air, but sometimes I do. But when I wear my glasses on the air and I turn my head, it sometimes like the light can affect it as such that the blue from the map comes through the glasses. So that can happen sometimes. So I'm sorry that happens sometimes, but what can you do? It sometimes happens when I wear my glasses. So anyways, sorry if it bugs you, but that is it. We are wrapping up this live stream. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.